I watched a few people, and then you know what's funny is they always self-proclaim themselves to be woke, have all the answers, be enlightened or whatnot. And these type of people, sometimes I say, well, okay, well, what's next? What do you do once you know you're enlightened? Do you just become a YouTube speaker? Do you start talking shit online? I mean, is that the next step after enlightenment, right? Here's the thing when it comes down to certain things that people listen to from certain speakers. Ask yourself, what can I do with this information? How can I carry this on my everyday life? How can I pass this down to the children who are our future? We teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. And if they can understand the message, then I guess we're on a good boat. But then I want you to listen to certain speakers and the things that they debate on, right? The things that they debate on is all basically rooted and founded out of the system that we are in right now, which is actually corrupt. Suppose you're having debates about big pharma, let's say governmental issues, which is politics. Suppose that it's education. Suppose that it's whatever it may be. It's all corrupt. So you're basically arguing about a system that's corrupt. You're basically in a world that you're supposed to try to be overcoming. Now, there's a big difference between shedding light on things and then, basically standing your ground on certain points. But a lot of these points, they're coming from a system that's flawed. It's corrupt. And when it's the lie, you'll never come to common grounds because everything is basically fundamentally the lie. The only thing that's truth is what you're standing on right now. The greatest acres of diamonds that you could possibly think of. As abundant as it can get. You're standing on it right now, and that's your human vessel. I'm gonna get into a video again about just the words we use when it comes to genders, feminine and whatnot, and masculine, but I'm not gonna tie that in here now because there's actually facts that can tell you that certain things we say are still of the lie. A lot of the things that we look at have solutions, but it would have to have you overcome the system. I'll give you an example. I had a few clients, and they have health issues, and I was very pinpoint accurate with a lot of the things that I actually was able to see through their eyes. Left them stunned and amazed, right? But the whole thing is I give them a protocol and I tell them to just eat watermelons. All right, this is called a monofruit diet. It's actually a thing. And you have to hear the cognitive dissonance that follows that. I mean, they're like, well, how am I supposed to sustain myself just eating watermelons? Where am I getting my protein? And blah, blah, blah. See, when a person, for example, aligns with truth, you'll stand out because a lot of the things you'll say will have cognitive dissonance. That's what people will have, cognitive dissonance. So you'll stand out. You'll probably be casted aside, ostracized, which is what basically people don't like, to be not somebody that fits in. Their biggest fear is not being part of a group. I'll tell you right now, I don't give a fuck about being part of groups or not. Matter of fact, I look at certain groups and I can't help but to point out the religiousness in all of this shit, and it pisses me off. To sometimes I even say, if it pisses me off, the fact that I'm anti-religion, is it even a religion to be anti-religion even in and of itself? So I have to actually check myself at certain points, right? Like we all do. We have to actually be present and check ourselves that we're not pointing the finger at something that we're actually already doing. It's just not a direct mirror of it. But a lot of the times, a lot of the things that we have solutions for, I would tell them to eat watermelons. Then you'll have another kind of group that comes out and says, well, I'm a little concerned. The watermelons in the supermarket, they're not real watermelons. They're GMO. They don't even have seeds. I don't think we should be eating that kind of shit. And then, even before we even got to the watermelon part, I had to actually ask them, what are they eating? Because I want to know what the results of the situation that they're in is coming from. It's always going to be stemming out of diet. they were eating basically Hot Pockets, Sun Drops. You know, they were eating a bunch of boxed foods like lean cuisines and whatnot. A lot of processed foods, right? A lot of stuff that you would find in the in boxed freezer stuff, right? And in their mind, they're keeping their macros on point, but not knowing that they're actually doing something else that's hurting them, even though they think they're doing something good by eating a macro-friendly meal like lean cuisine. A lot of people who are into the bodybuilding world will, at all costs, get their calories in, regardless of how they get it. They'll even eat McDonald's and whatnot. Then later on, they have heart issues, they have gut issues, they have a lot of different things happening to them because a lot of the times they're taking supplements. A lot of the things that they're doing is already putting a stress on their body, and then taking the processed junk is just adding more insult to injury, more fire to the already, you know, large inferno that they already got going on. See, a lot of the things that you would tell them, right, such as, you know, coming off the proteins, this would be a huge cognitive dissonance. This is not what they're programmed to do, because suppose that it's a bodybuilder. I've came across people who don't want to lose muscle mass, or even, let's say, women that are already skinny, right? But both of these issues are that they don't want to lose muscle mass, or they don't want to get off the protein. They don't want to get off the protein because they don't want to lose any more weight if you're in the girl side, right? Not knowing that to start it off, your body is made of water. A lot of the times, even people who go on ketogenic diets or carnivore diets and whatnot, they lose weight initially. A lot of it is because they're dehydrated, right? They're losing a lot of water weight. That's why when they get off the keto diet and go back on a regular diet, they gain weight, and they gain extra weight on top of that, because now their body is going to hold on to all the water it wants, but they never really lost the fat. And only because you gave it the restriction that now the body will hold on to water to prevent it from going into another drought, as we call it. The body's a very smart machine. So you would tell the individual to get off protein, right? What is a protein? A protein breaks down to amino acids. And these are the building blocks of life. So I always explain this to my clients. I tell them, if you're in the womb of your mom, you're made of 100% water. When you come out, you're pretty flexible, malleable, and one of the most important things is you're open-minded, right? Because you try to tell these people that are already adults, or especially the older folks, they're very closed-minded. This is why, I guess, why they say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? Now, the older you are, the wiser you should be. But in actuality, I noticed that the older you are, the stupider you are. Because the more indoctrinated and ingrained you are, but this all starts from childhood. You're not ever supposed to, this is why you guide a child. You're not supposed to control or like your child. You're supposed to guide them, because they're actually in their most natural state possible. Open-minded, yet innocent. But you would have to have the discernment and wisdom of an old man. This is why they say to enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to be childlike. So you have to have these things integrated together. You can call this the masculine and feminine energy integrated in one. Okay? In fact, a man, when he is in his prime and he feels like the motivation is not there, all right, that has a lot to do with the feminine that you're with. And that has a lot to do with the feminine energy that is within you as well, which I'll get into another video on that specifically. But the reason I say you guide your children is the same way, because the children are feminine energy. So you're not supposed to control or suppress a child. You're supposed to let a child flower. But you don't force a child to flower. You let him flower when he flowers. So a child you guide. A child is feminine energy. This is why it's Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. But women and children are feminine energy. So they need to be guided. That's a guidance that the masculine energy has to have. So you don't suppress a woman either. Because if you suppress a woman, you're suppressing the masculine energy. There's nothing there. You're just lost in the sauce. And I'm talking about this from energy. So let's not get lost in gender again with what you associate with. Because I got another video brewing, which is what I told you. The words we use is all out of the lie. And a lot of the things that you think you know, you really don't know shit. But you guide a child. You guide a woman. Okay? So when you are in the womb of your mom, you're all water. You come out. Do you notice how you're giving the baby baby food? It's not solid food. You have to acclimate them to solid foods as they get older. Little by little, you acclimate them to solid foods. So if they start to eat these solid foods as they're getting older, do you notice how they're starting to grow? They're starting to solidify, right? But you're giving them the building blocks of life. When you're at your prime and you're starting to go backwards toward old age, what building blocks do you need? What building blocks do you need? All right, that's why people, they think they can eat what they were eating when they were younger, and they start to grow now, they start to grow sideways. They start to gain weight around the sections that they don't need to gain weight on. When you're already at your prime and going backwards, you should now start to eat much less. And aside from eating much less, you should be eating a lot more water foods. All right, because you're starting to now integrate what you were as a child into the adult ages, so that when you're an old man, you're not a stupid old fart, but now you're a wise old man or an old woman. Okay? So you are now merging back with truth, which is water. So you are now eating the foods of nature, which is nature is neutral. But when you intake it and you are aligned with truth, you are holding more water now. That's why in court they tell you that statement holds no water. So you have to be more water. If you are way more solid, I mean, you are basically void of water, void of life. Why, when you go to other planets, you're looking for signs of life, the first thing you look for is water. And your body is dehydrated. So how much life and energy and vitality do you feel? A lot of times people feel low energy. It has a lot to do with dehydration. And you're not breathing properly because your body's in fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, it's because you're in acidosis. Acidosis is an acidic condition. So if you think that drinking more water is the solution, that's fugazi. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's like a potted plant. If it's 100 degrees outside, I'm going to use this analogy because it's an acidic medium. Acidic is hot. When it's hot outside, you have a potted plant, which is what you are, and you dump a gallon of water in there. Not only did you not drink the gallon of water because they all came out the bottom of the drain hole, but when I put it back outside in that weather, it's going to dry out again immediately. So a human drinking water all day, all they're doing is taking a piss all day. So it's coming out the bottom of your drain hole. Okay? And not only that, it's detrimental because you flush a lot of the minerals out of the body. The key to hydration is actually trying to alkalize your body. Kind of like if man comes from the soil, you die, you go back to the soil. If you dump water on top of soil on a really, really hot day, you just see that the water just rolls right off. But when the soil is cool or alkaline, it actually absorbs water a lot easier. Your body is like the soil. So you're absorbing now. Because why do I use this analogy and why it's important is because your body's made of cells. It doesn't matter if it's bones, if it's your teeth, if it's hair, it's all cells, right? And if you look at what a cell is a basic unit of life that actually has sentience. It has the ability to think, make decisions. It has the ability to breathe, eat, poop, reproduce. In fact, it even has organelles, like a body has organs. So they're actually like little people. And the expression of them is all going to be determined by your perception of life. So if your perception of life is fucked up, you are the god of the world that you are inhabiting, and this is the expression that these cells are gonna be expressing. So that's basically God there in a nutshell. Awareness. Are you aware that you see the world for how you are and not for how it is? So if you're aware of that, let's say you're experiencing negativity, this is a perfect time to sit down and confess the sins of the world to you. And sit down and be honest and feel through them. Become present. You like to help other people. You like to hear other people's problems. Put yourself in their shoes, right? Do you do this to yourself? Do you sit in a room, sit with yourself, and actually feel these things, putting yourself in your own shoes? Because you're outside of yourself. You're a space cadet. But when you center yourself back into yourself, you are actually present. You are now letting your body feel it. And through awareness, you can actually integrate these things. Neutralize the chemistry that was always imbalanced and put it back into balance. So the reason I'm even mentioning all this is because when I told my client to do the watermelon part, it's as easy as that. Giving the body simple chemistry. The reason the body went into a diseased state was because of all the complexity that you put in it. Okay? It's like when you look at topics, spirituality, it's all very simple. People make it so complicated, right? Like everything is look at it holistically. Look at everything for what it is, holistically. It's coming from you. When you know it's coming from you, you are basically aligned with truth, which is the all-seeing eye. That's masculine energy. And it's actually backed up by your feminine energy, which is the pituitary gland. Why, when you eat less, it helps your pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is responsible for recovery, regeneration, right? You actually stimulate growth hormone when you don't eat as much, when you're fasting. You get rid of cancerous cells, you get rid of shit that don't belong in the body. You actually stimulate growth hormone. Growth hormone in a good way though, okay? Because you eliminated cancerous cells, you're eliminating the junk. The growth hormone is stimulated to keep you from disintegrating. Your body's always trying to keep you in homeostasis. But when you go and take growth hormone in a synthetic form, then everything's growing. And if you haven't gotten rid of cancerous cells and whatnot, you're feeding those too. That's why you tend to actually enhance cancer when you have cancer, when you take growth hormones or when you take steroids or whatnot. The body's not working to its optimal level. It's like you shut the main computer to do things and you taking the wheel of God by putting testosterone all in the interest to just look bigger and fit into, for whatever reasons it may be. All right? So it's all very simple. Certain things have the simplest solutions. If you're sick, eat foods of chemistry that is conducive to neutralize the imbalanced chemistry within you. Then people are demonizing the watermelons, right? If you're demonizing the watermelons, well then, hey, how about you get into growing your own watermelons? I think that would be a very good thing. But that would include you having to disconnect from the system of how you're managing things, because a lot of people don't even have time to do that, right? Because you take care of you're very busy at your work. You have a lifestyle that doesn't cater to you having time to be in your garden, and maybe you have family issues, whatever it may be. You don't have time. It's like people, and it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's like people saying, I don't have time to work out, you know, because I'm very busy. What's funny is it's not the amount of workout, it's the quality of workout. What I do in 30 minutes, what somebody else does in the gym for 2.5 hours, I can do in 30 minutes. And that all takes combinations, knowledge, wisdom. I know what I'm doing, right? And if you don't know what you're doing, apply yourself and you'll know what you're doing. You'll communicate with certain things that need to be, you'll have the proper guidance because you submitted to the masculine energy because you were unaware. When you're unaware of something, you're in feminine energy. But if you surrender to the truth, which is God, then you are aligning with truth. You become God, okay? That's called transforming, transmutation, okay? This happens energetically. But in this world, the only thing you cannot change, and it's concrete truth. That's why the laws of logic are important. There is no half-truths or half-lies. It's either truth or lies. That's why God said, when you respond with yay or nay, right? Yay or nay is either yes or no. It's truth or it's not true. And the only thing that you can say it's objectively always going to be true is that you are the representation of God in physical form. And the energy expression would be that of a man or a woman. That's 100% true. Because if I go and cut my dick off and put some titties on and I associate as a woman and then I further associate with it because I got an ID that says I'm a woman, okay? That's of the lie. Because one thing that can never change is that I am at the fundamental core a man. I was born a man. That means spiritually and energetically, metaphysically, I am a man. Even if I try to change that here. What you can change are titles. Those are of the lie. So if I'm a police officer and I go and I'm a police officer. I am a police. You're not really a police officer. You're playing the role of a police officer. Because when you go home and you take your uniform off, you're now a family man. So that can change. Right? But you cannot change. You're always a man. There's people who actually go full-blown sex change, but it doesn't mean that you're a woman or a man. Let's say if you're a man and you go full-blown sex change, that you're now a woman. You're a man. You're just a man in a really, really geeked up costume. That's all it is. That's all it is. So some people take their jobs very, very seriously, right? And it has detrimental repercussions. Some people get lost in the illusion of power when they're a police officer. They may do things and then it may end up that they do corruption, and then it gets them into trouble because they took their job too seriously, but in an imbalanced way. You could take your job seriously in a balanced way where you're doing everything righteously, because your job as a police officer is to be righteous, to serve and protect the public, have integrity, right? But it's still rooted out of the lie, because I see more police officers just handing out more tickets than actually serving and protecting people, right? So it's just making money for the city. It's all corruption. But understand why it's set up that way. It's all revolved around the dollar. That's all it's revolved around. But the system itself is corrupt. So it doesn't matter what arguments you get into. I can go and have a debate with somebody, but I'm very well aware that what positions I'm taking, I'm still entertaining humanity, right? But I want to do it in a way where I'm pointing out the fugazi in both sides either way, even though I have a position. So if you're going to argue, you would have to argue from a state of you actually being God, and actually not from a state of being human. Because if you are, you're never going to come to common grounds. They're both of the lie. So everything's simple, right? When you cannot or don't have time, let's say, to work out, 30 minutes is enough to do it. With enough information, you can actually accomplish that. You don't have time to garden. Okay, well, the reason you don't is because the way you have the garden set up, it's set up for you to be a slave to the land rather than you actually being the God, where it actually works for you. Both masculine and feminine. I'm going to show you how. In nature, nobody's watering the trees. Nobody fertilizes the trees, yet everything grows the way it's supposed to. You even have acid-loving trees growing with a little bit more of alkaline-loving trees growing together in the same medium. How is that possible, right? Because there's something called a communication network, called a mycelium network. That's the fungal network, the root system of the fungus. And they belong underground. They work with the environment, and if a tree needs nutrients, one tree will pass nutrients down to another tree that needs it. You see, in the garden, they tell you don't plant certain things with each other because they compete for nutrients, because it's not set up like nature. That's why I appeal to nature. See, humans, if they appealed to nature, we wouldn't have this illusion of competition between men. We would actually know what man needs. We would be present with them because we're present with ourselves. This is why guiding a child is guiding a child to learn how to be an individual, but knowing themselves. And being an individual, they could be a service to humanity in a way that's conducive to spirituality, not the humanity part. But we're only being a service to others by selling something and expecting a monetary gain in return. That's conditional love. How do you teach a child unconditional love, right? Being, selfish, because kids are naturally selfish. But that's a good thing. But you learn how to guide them and use that selfishness to their advantage. It's kind of like if they get angry, right? You could teach them to channel that anger too. You could teach a child. You guide them. But do you know yourself? Does the adult know themselves? A lot of people are trying to teach a child and control a child. It's like the blind leading the blind. Same thing with women. There's these red pillars going on there, debating these OnlyFans girls, right? But where does that all stem from, though? And here's the thing: these red pillars are no different than the OnlyFans girls. I'm gonna tell you why. They go and they bash these women, okay? And I have a big problem with this, because I look at this as if somebody was actually picking on my sister. Yet I understand that what they're doing is a degenerate act, and that's all up for debate, to be honest to you, which I'm willing to engage. But it's all rooted out of a corrupt system to begin with. Suppose it that the father wasn't around. They decide to they decide to use this masculine energy now to exploit the system. Okay? But the same way, here's the thing. They go on these podcasts and they debate these OnlyFans girls, but their tactic to debate these OnlyFans girls are only bringing more traffic to these OnlyFans girls. That's what it's doing, and this is a fact. This is actually happening. But here's how the mirror is actually working with these stupid ass red pillars. The same exact way that these OnlyFans girls make money off simpy guys that don't know what the fuck they are, right? They give their money. The woman is exploiting those men. As many of those girls there are, there's men for that market, okay? But here's the thing though, those red pill guys that want to say that they're fucking, I don't even know if they're red pillars or whatever the fuck they are. I don't even pay attention to what red pill or blue pill is. But these fucking people of the right, of the extreme right, and they go and debate and smash these women. You got to see the comment section. They're like women, and they're men. The majority are men, and they're there literally, like hanging from the nutsacks of the guy that's actually smashing and degrading these OnlyFans girls because they're doing degenerate acts, right? But then these people are actually giving them money, a lot of it too. So the same way the girls are making money, right, from even being on the show, getting degraded, they're still getting traffic because the men don't give a fuck about all that. They just want to. They looked at them on camera, they like them, and they want to get their rocks off by, joining their OnlyFans. And then you got now those guys that say they're men. They're getting money from those people that are basically egging them on to keep doing these type of shows. And who are the fucking people that are really getting drained? The viewer that's paying attention and engaging in that too, and actually in the comments, and or just the attention is the biggest currency on the planet. So the fact that you're paying attention to that, you're getting your currency taken from you too. So your currency is going down little by little, low energy. And because you're aligning with the lie, then you're further dehydrating yourself. What enriches you? What fulfills you? It should be a juicy, fulfilling, hydrating experience when you listen to something that's hydrating you. There's people that are inflammatory. There's people who want to water themselves and constantly talk about how enlightened they are and how bad everybody else is. That's them watering themselves, and because you're paying attention to that and you're so fucking dumb and you're attracted to people talking to you that way, you're continuing to water them even more. Aside from them watering themselves, you're watering them too with your attention, praising them. You're a bunch of morons. I'm telling you, a bunch of fucking numbnuts. And I see this, and I'm gonna start to actually put my foot down on this motherfucker as a human. Because if I did it as a god, you would all cease to exist. I promise you that. Now, I talked about a lot of medical terms, a lot of things that are pretty controversial, so I'm gonna make this disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor. Do your own research. None of my stuff is backed up by medical science or medical claims. It's just basically me making content for you beautiful people who made it this far to listen to my video. This is a very important video, and I'm gonna make more points as I go along, because I feel like this is the key to really waking your ass up, is to know yourself, is to know that these things all tie in with each other. How I'm making correlations of everything that we're listening to and putting it all together. It all makes sense. Everybody's talking about the same fucking thing. Everybody's doing the same shit. You got vegans pointing the finger at carnivores, but vegans are doing the exact same thing, only in an evolved form. The same way the cat doesn't know what the fuck it's doing when it brings you a dead mouse. The human would say he committed murder. He infringed on the right to live of that mouse, right? The cat just doing cat things. The cat's so proud of it, it brought it to you, right? Now, to a cat, that's not murder. But to a vegan who's trying to destroy you in a debate, he is trying to murder you. But yet you don't see that. Your body's made of cells. And in that act, many cells die. And supposing you get cornered and you don't have a way out, and you lose that debate, you go through the stresses of people now mocking you. That's a stressful situation. A lot of the cells are dying. All because that vegan decided to make you look bad. Destroy your credibility. Because you're nothing but an idea. You're really nothing but an idea. The only idea you have is the idea you have of yourself. Others may have ideas of you, but they'll have mixed opinions because you act one way, in one form, and then in another state you act another way. So if I'm on camera I'm the same way off camera. There's people I know that watch my videos, and they even say, you're the same on camera than you are in person. You're probably even more wild in person. See, here I have to tone it down only because a lot of people can't keep up with me. And I've already seen this even through podcasts that I've had with certain people. Oh, I can't keep up with this guy. He's like, then don't watch me. Stupid. Everything has fixes. Everything. In nature, man is not needed. Man gets in the way. Your body is a product of nature. It doesn't need you. Your body, when it's fucked up, it will raise a fever, get mucus, diarrhea, vomiting. It's going to draw a lot of water from the body to eliminate this dangerous pathogen. A doctor only instructs you to stay hydrated. In this state, this is actually when you get a cold and flu-like symptom, be very happy. This is the ultimate detox for the body. All you have to do is eat watermelons. Help the body detox. Because you'll be dehydrated once you get back to homeostasis, medical terms. And even in your walking life that you're not on a weak foundation, right? You can actually stay hydrated. See, check this out. Exercising, for example, is a detoxing effect. You're exercising, like an exorcism, right? But you're exercising, you may release a lot of negative energy. It's good for cognitive functions. It's good for your energy levels because you moved. Your movement, everything. Your body's alive. It's got movement. You're keeping the body moving and flexible. It's good. It's exercise, but it requires energy, right? What do you do when you work out? You start to sweat. That's a detoxing effect. What do you also do? That's most important. You're breathing harder, right? Why is that? Because when you work out, you're creating something called lactic acid. That's an acidic environment. It's creating havoc. You're actually breaking your muscles down. So your body tries to balance that chemistry by breathing harder. And you may want to even drink water while you're working out. You may get thirsty. Do you notice how these things just happen? So when you're sick though, that's also a detoxing effect. But here's the difference. Your body will make sure that you cannot move. It will put you down. You'll feel like you don't want to work out. You'll feel like you don't even want to eat. Because the body, to detox, it also needs energy. Right? It needs energy. So that's why when you're resting, you conserve energy. The body now redirects that energy to healing the body. And you don't eat, because when you eat, that's also taxing energy. So what do? Hydrate properly with like watermelons. Why watermelons? First of all, you're not spiking your glycemic index. You're not spiking your insulin. So what you're doing is you're introducing hydration to the cells. You're alkalizing the body, which is in an acidic medium. So now you're helping the body get back to homeostasis. But do you see how even both, that's a paradox? Resting is detoxing, exercising is detoxing. But it depends how if your foundation is weak, then you should not be exercising because it fucks your immune system up. So if you're fucked up and you got a weak foundation, why the fuck would you eat protein? It's like building a house on a weak foundation. So you control the catabolic phase of the body. What you do is you fast. You let everything come out. And then first of all, people are like, well, what am I going to eat when I get back? First of all, if you were used to eating Dunkin' Donuts, Cheetos, and Popeyes, you're not even going to crave that. I'm going to tell you why. Because during that detox, you starved and actually eliminated a lot of the parasites and bacteria that live within you that make you think you're hungry, that you actually thought you needed that kind of food. It actually came out with the bacteria, with the garbage, with the acid, with the metabolic waste. So why I tell you also breathing is very important. Breathing is responsible for 70% of your toxins coming out of the body. 70%. That's why when you get pulled over by a cop, they want to measure the amount of toxins that you intoxicated yourself with in the form of alcohol. Okay? And here's the thing. Breathing is spirit. So think about this though. When you drink alcohol, they call that spirits. So not only did you intoxicate yourself with alcohol, but you were prone to many negative energies. Because if you're unaware at what state you were drinking in, drinking is an amplifier. So if you were depressed, that's why people get really depressed. They start maybe sobbing and crying at the end of their at the end of the night. I probably want to drink when I'm celebrating, but I'm aware you have an intent behind why you actually intake that alcohol. So nothing's really bad or good. It's not what you're doing, but how you do it. So if you're gardening, appeal to nature. Very thick layer of mulch right above the root system of your plants keeps the bacteria and microorganisms in their stable. They don't dehydrate, so you don't have to go constantly watering your plants. You don't have to go constantly fertilizing your plants, because what's working for you is the bacteria and the wigglers and all the bacteria and all the stuff that lives under their processing organic matter, and what they poop out is the nutrients for the plants. I don't have to worry about spraying my garden down because I have the predators that come to balance out the imbalance of the vegan plants. Like, let's say, for example, you have vegan insects. They want to eat my plants. They want to eat my fruits. What do I depend on? I depend on my carnivorous plants, on my carnivorous insects to balance out nature. So I don't have to go do any kind of chemical warfare or anything like that. Everything's working for me. That's a form of masculine and feminine energy working for me. That's a form of the nature catering to me rather than me having to be a slave to the land. Man was not designed to be a slave. There's what they teach you from the moment that, man is supposed to work hard. That's how he's a masculine man. That's not how it works. Because how were the pyramids built at one point? You're telling me through sleds and ramps and these were real men? Look at the men that bash women online. They say that a real man is the one that works hard and the one that gets down and dirty. But they're making their money online, okay? Bashing women. They're getting paid by these people. What were they doing now? Right? Are they doing a feminine act? Gossiping and talking shit? I'm going to make a separate video on that. That's all I got for this video. I don't want to make it too long. Like and we will talk soon.